Harding from the National Videogame Museum.
And today we're looking at how video games relate to science. So we have two different types of controllers here. The first one is a controller that we made using a Makey. So Makey is something that we use at Sci-Tech to learn about circuitry. And basically it's a circuit board that's conductive into a keyboard for your computer. So it's really great for making a video game controller or like a MIDI device for like a piano or some sort of musical instrument. It's a really cool device, and what we have here is basically your basic game controller, right? And a project that we like to do for camps or for whatever is to make a game controller with like your basic standard up, left, down, right, and then have that correspond with an actual game that either we find or that we code ourselves. So this is a project we really like to do with especially the older kids. So here I have my controller. Because I'm using my conductive material here, the conductive metal, and it's attached to the Makey through these alligator clips, I can then use it as an actual game controller. So if I start my game of Tetris here, and I press my ground wire, which is attached there, then I can use my device to actually play Tetris. And if I wanted to, I could go in and use Scratch or another coding program to make my own game. But, you know, you can't beat Tetris. So
Let's learn a little bit more about the history of game controllers. Now, computers in their basic form are ones and zeros, what we call binary, right? Joysticks and controllers, when you press a button, it's either on or off, and that breaks it down to the game. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of controllers that we have. This is an old one-button Atari 2600 controller. Has 4 directions and a fire button. And we can break it apart, and you can see it's pretty simplistic inside. All right, there's the controller shaft, and then there's a spring on the controller button. And then here's the actual circuit, and it's very simple. You'll see there's a ground plane that goes around, and then all the individual fire and then all the directions will short out. And these little silver things you see are basically switches. You can press down on them, what we call dome switches. And when you make contact, just like with this controller over here, when you make contact with ground in any direction, that's how you move in that direction, okay? So very simple, not much to it. I do want to show you a little bit more history. This is a very cool controller in history. It's called Lay Stick. Now, Lay Stick didn't actually have any actual directions. And you see, it's just a shaft with a button, right? Well, the cool thing about Lay Stick was, here's your fire button, but it was directional as far as it used mercury switches inside. So if you wanted to go left, you would tilt the joystick to the left or to the right, up, down, and then fire. So it was all one-handed, control. And it wasn't a huge success, but it's kind of iconic in the history of controllers because, Mercury was one of the first things where you actually had almost like a motion control. All right. Again, I don't know how safe that was to have Mercury if you banged it or broke it, and then we'll jump forward to like a modern controller, PlayStation. This is a DualShock 3 6-axis, and you can see obviously 4 buttons, and we have 8, 2 in the front. There's 12 or so buttons here plus 2 sticks. And the modern controllers are a little more involved. There's a battery in there, okay? But it's not a simple circuit like we used to have in the old days where you're just shorting things out. All these different button combinations now have to be converted into a signal. So you see there's a chip in there because obviously you don't want to have 100 wires coming out for each line, or each button that you're pressing. And all this gets converted into the appropriate signal through that chip and sent out. Well, this one goes wirelessly, but if it had a controller, like maybe an old PlayStation 1 controller, it would have a wire, and it would send the signals that way. So you can see it's pretty complex compared to the simple 4-direction and 1-button thing that we had in the old days.
So yeah, if y'all are interested in learning learning more about Makey and the science behind how this works, Sci-Tech is going to be opening back up on September 8th. We also have our remote learning labs starting next week, I believe. So check that out on our website. And yeah, come see us.
Cool. And if you want to actually get to see some of these controllers, we have a ton on the wall behind us, and if you want to play with them, we are open now. Starting next week, we'll be open Wednesday through Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sundays, 12 to 5. And you know, of course, we have some exhibits shut down because of social distancing, but there's still a lot to do, and we have measures in place for everybody to keep clean, keep safe. But come on in and visit, have some fun.